So thank you all for being here. My goodness. And Mark, thank you for your help.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Let me know if you need anything else.
Are you like there in the background the whole time? Is that what's going on?
Pretty much.
Okay, pretty much. You're not going to
he's always in the podcast recording.
It's just so great with the black sweater and the background and the CNSI logo. It's so perfect.
Mark's the coolest guy we have.
It's so cool looking.
True.
I want that mic. I'm going to use that mic even for like Zooming with friends. Hello.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting for you to announce that, you know, this event is sponsored by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation.
Exactly.
And like whatever else is always on NPR. What's that? Don't they have like a footy pajama company that like sponsors like a lot of their shows? Can't even remember what it's called, but it always amuses me whenever I hear them.
You watch too much NPR if you know the name. Watch NPR. You watch too much PBS because you know the sponsor's name.
Yeah.
I think I'm semi-legally required to, since my sister-in-law works for NPR.
Ah, that explains it.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you doing, Howard?
Good. For once, I didn't have a meeting at 9 o'clock this morning.
Nice.
So it's busy. It's the venture world these days is pretty hectic. Kind of right now, everything's moving at pretty much lightning speed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy time in venture kind of right now. So
Why is that? People have reemerged and they're just picking up energy again. I mean, the market's up today. The market's volatile.
The market's volatile, but the venture market since Q4 of last year has just gone crazy, right? And I think almost everybody's underwater from a bandwidth perspective. It's just deals are moving so fast. The valuations are great for our existing portfolio companies. I think I just I sold one company a month ago, and then we had a couple of really big up rounds. I think one of my companies became a unicorn in January. It was crazy, but trying to do deals now though is challenging from a valuation perspective because it is so buoyant of a market. The public markets obviously being so frothy over the past kind of 8 to 9 months kind of drives a lot of that.
So do you think there's like there's a fall coming, or you think it's just going to keep going up for longer?
It's hard to tell because there's so much liquidity in the market. It's partly just the liquidity. It's just so much liquidity in the market that it almost has to work itself through. And whether that is, it could be 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. It's hard to figure out. And so anybody who says they know, that's just crazy. They just don't know. But and we're trying to also fund companies now. We're looking at 12 months ahead, 12 to 18 months ahead for the next round. That's the challenging part, right? What does the market look like 12 to 18 months from now when these companies have to go back into market? And how do you price it accordingly now so that it doesn't become a challenge? Hopefully, at least not crazy of a challenge. 12 to 18 months from now. So it is difficult, but it's hard to say. There's just so much money flowing out. The government basically pushed out a couple $1 trillion into the marketplace, and what are you going to do in the venture capital funds are getting bigger, right? And you're starting to see, Bain Capital just raised $950 million for a seed and Series A fund. which is insane, right? And then they paired it with like a $350 million kind of growth opportunity fund. And it just got announced, like, I think a couple of days ago or yesterday. And that's just one data point, right? That doesn't even account for Andreessen's multi-billion-dollar fund. That doesn't account for Sequoia's, Excel's and whatnot. There's just so much capital available to go after companies.
So the companies do they just pitch to a lot of VCs to get their products going, or is it a competition to invest in the startups, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it's a very uneven market, though. I would say this: the ones that are resonating with VCs, they'll get like half a dozen term sheets, like fast, and I'm talking like within 2 weeks of them starting a process, right? And some are even trying to preempt the process. Some VCs are trying to preempt the process altogether. So it's a great time to be a founder, but there's also plenty of companies who are on the wrong side of that equation, and they're still not, getting the term sheets, whatnot. If you look at the numbers, the total number of deals hasn't really increased a whole lot. It's just the round sizes have increased quite a bit. So if you look at like total amount invested, sure, it's gotten larger, but it's the haves and the have-nots, right? People are piling into the ones that are resonating with people, and the ones that are not still aren't getting funded. So it's a great time to be a founder if you're in the right industries with the right product with the right background, right?
And you have a big crystal ball in front of you.
People are, put it this way, people are doing frontier revenue multiples, right now in the VC world for Series A and B companies, which is insane, right? Like, who takes the projected year-end number and then put a multiple on that at such early stage? That would be unheard of, even a year and a half ago, right? Like pre-COVID, you just wouldn't even do it.
Are you doing it?
We try not to. We try to be more disciplined. I think sometimes if it gets, I just closed a deal where I fundamentally didn't do it because the multiple where it was at currently, and not even so much what the multiple it was going to be at in the year, because that would just be semi foolish on my part, because those projections are never right. Like, either they blow through it or they're way under it, and they're more likely to be way under. So it's just that I was convicted on a thesis of the company moving like kind of longer term. And it was just kind of one of those, hey, look, if it doesn't happen this year, it's okay. Like, I know kind of what the numbers are, what the situations would be, and I would be willing to take the risk that my belief in the longer term is going to be there. So that's the only reason why, like, I think these days you have to get the higher conviction on the companies because of the price you have to pay.
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt. So I'm not sure where Sarah is. Hopefully she'll be able to get into the meeting. But since it's 10:06 and we've got a bunch of guests in the waiting room, I'm gonna go ahead and let them in and then start.
So was that an email that came from you with that on it, Rita?
So the link that I just sent in the chat is the scorecard for this year. It's the same one as every year, but this one should be a fillable PDF, so you can add your scores into this one.
Okay.
So.
But it's okay if are you going to want these back?
It's helpful for the teams to see feedback. So if you can just collect feedback somehow, that would be really helpful, because we like sending the teams just at least some feedback on their work.
So I'm going to handwrite mine, then I can run them through and convert them to a PDF at the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to do that too.
So let's give everybody, did we lose Howard? Oh no, there's Howard.
I just
Sorry,
moved
Howard,
around
you
a little.
moved around in the Brady Bunch. So Howard, And Denise, are you both ready? Everyone ready
Yeah.
to go? Okay.
All right,
Yes.
I'm gonna let everyone in.
Whee! Oh my gosh.
This is great.
This is incredible.
All right, we've still got some people coming in from the waiting room, but I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. So hello and welcome everyone to Nanovation 2021, our final pitch session. Unfortunately, we're not together in person, but this year we are still live and we're virtual. So I'm really excited to see how our presentations are going to go today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Rita Blake. I am the Director of Education here at the California NanoSystems Institute at UCLA. And I just want to welcome everyone to our event today. So before we get started on our pitches, I've just got a few welcome remarks to get through. So we're going to start out by just doing, again, a quick welcome. I will introduce the judges and give some thanks, and then we're going to get right into our pitches, doing a short break in the middle. After that, we'll take a half-hour break where everyone is welcome to go grab some lunch, and the judges are going to meet separately to tally their scores and figure out who our winners are this year, and then we'll do the award ceremony right after that. So first of all, there's some people and some groups that I need to give some shout outs to and some thank yous. First of all, of course, everyone at the CNSI, the California NanoSystems Institute at UCLA, who have in immeasurable and varied ways really helped us put this whole event together year after year. Everyone from our media team to our purchasing team, to everything else in between. And also, of course, to the organization itself for helping to sponsor various parts of our competition. So thank you to the CNSI. And also a huge thank you to Denise Avchen and Environmental Research Advocates for also being a very generous sponsor of the competition, not just this year, but every year. And a special thank you to them for sponsoring the prizes for our amazing teams this year. So Denise and ERA, thank you so much. And also a huge, huge shout out to our mentors, who are the people really on the ground working with these students for the past few months, working with these teams, getting their science up to snuff, getting their business savvy up to snuff, and getting these presentations to the best point that they could be today. So thank you not only to our STEM mentors who have volunteered for this and a whole host of other events throughout the year, but also to our business mentors that we had this year from the Anderson School at UCLA. So business mentors, thank you as well. You guys were extremely helpful and we're so thankful to have you. And with that, I want to pass it on to each of our judges to briefly introduce themselves. So let's start with Sonia. Sonia, could you say hello?
Hi, my name is Sonia Luna. I'm Executive Director of the California NanoSystems Institute at UCLA. And this is literally one of my favorite days of the year. And I look forward to hearing about all of your unique and cutting edge ideas.
Thank you, Sonia. And then Howard. Howard, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. My name is Howard. I'm actually a partner with Morpheus Ventures, and where Morpheus is a venture capital firm based in Los Angeles. We typically invest between seed, Series A, and Series B investments. So we invest between $1 to $10 million. Happy to be here. Always excited to hear kind of what the students have to say. As I mentioned before, I've never even thought of doing something like this when I was in high school. So I give everyone a lot of credit for actually doing this and having a lot better intelligence than I did at your age.
Thank you, Howard. And next we have Denise Avchen. Denise.
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Avshin. I'm the CEO of Environmental Research Advocates, and I've been around since the beginning of Nanovation. And, you know, the thought that all of you are facing an intimidating crew, you think it's intimidating, but really look at it as an opportunity to capsulize your ideas and be able to present them in a non-threatening. We're actually non-threatening, and there is a winner and a loser, but this is a chance to learn how to express yourself and narrow down your pitches. And I just think it's an incredible opportunity, and your business plans are amazing. And I know these pitches are going to be great, and it's going to be a really fun day. So looking forward to it, and hats off to all of you for doing this.
Thank you, Denise. And then last but certainly not least, Professor Sarah Tolbert.
Hello. So my name is Sarah Tolbert, and I am the faculty director of the CNSI education program, and I'm a professor in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, and also in the Department of Material Science and Engineering. As director, I want to thank you for all the hard work that the students have put in, that your mentors have put in. Your mentors have been telling me how hard all the students have been working. So I've got double the information. And I also want to take a second opportunity to thank our judges, and particularly Denise. I want to point out that this program started because Denise was determined to make it start. And it's now a fundamental part of our education program. And I just want to again thank Denise for doing that.
My great pleasure.
So just to give you, so you're gonna, give a pitch, you're gonna get questions. You can sort of guess what kind of questions you're gonna get before anybody even opens their mouth. Howard and Sonia are gonna ask you all the business things. Denise is gonna ask you the broad implications. And I'm gonna ask you if your science is actually functional science. And so we're gonna give you the opportunity to talk about all aspects of your product and your business. And hopefully what Denise said is right. You can't lose from this experience. The point is just to have the experience. So enjoy the day.
Thank you, Sarah. And I also just want to echo what everyone is saying, in that just by participating in this competition and getting to this point, you have won, because you've won an experience and you've won a set of knowledge that is really invaluable and incalculable, especially being your age. So please be proud of yourselves no matter what happens today, because you all are incredible. So be proud. That being said, we will have a first place, a second place, and a third place. So just a quick reminder that that's what's going to be happening. And with that, let's just get right into the pitches. So like Professor Tolbert said, you're going to have 5 minutes to present, and then 5 minutes of Q&A time with the judges, where each of the judges will be asking you various questions based on their expertise. And just a quick housekeeping note before we start. As you probably heard when you entered the meeting, we are recording this event because we want to then share it later online for the people who were not able to attend live today. So because of that, if you are not actively presenting, or if you're not a judge, please keep yourself on mute. We don't want any disruptions both to the presenters and to the recording. So if you are not actively speaking, please again, just keep yourself on mute.
So Rita, did you send us scoring sheets?
Yes, I sent it to the other judges when they had entered the meeting earlier. Sarah, I will send that to you right now as well.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So this will be the presenting order. I put it by the name of each of the respective teachers because some groups might have changed their name during the process of their preparing their business proposals. So you can see what order you will be in based on here. And so let's start with our first team from their teacher, Jeanette Chips. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and whenever you guys are ready, feel free to share your screen and begin.
Okay. This just in. River authorities have reported that nearly 5,000 fish are dead from the San Pedro ammonia creek spill.
Well, this is kind of old news. There have been many incidents like this in the past where ammonium and phosphate, chemicals that are toxic to the marine environment, end up in rivers and streams, either going unnoticed or largely untreated. That's why my colleagues and I created NanoCheck.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Solomon.
Brenda.
I'm Kaylin.
I'm Yashvi.
And we're
Jeff.
Nanotech from Granada Hills Charter High School.
Okay, industrial waste, fertilizer, and flame retardants are all sources of ammonium phosphate, which often end up in rivers and streams.
If you take a look at the screen, you can see fire retardants being dropped from planes. These substances are very crucial in firefighting. However, there are very few instances where we stop and consider the ecological effects of these substances.
So what exactly is NanoCheck? Well, NanoCheck is an environmental cleaning product and service. As you can see here, our product uses a portable buoy system with mesh bags that will hold the filtration system. The product will be placed along the width of a river and will be attached to the sides of a river for support. The buoys help support the weight of the product and are connected to each other with rope, which will hold the mesh bags while still allowing the fish to move freely. The filtration system itself consists of ammonium-absorbing sealant rocks and phosphate-absorbing iron oxide nanoparticles, which filter the ammonium phosphate from our natural rivers.
And because we're also a service, our company will install the product and conduct periodic check-ins to test ammonium phosphate concentration levels and survey the river situation.
Like we previously mentioned, our product taps into an untouched industry, one that has been widely overlooked by the environmental, industrial waste, agricultural, and firefighting community. In 2017, the usage of flame retardant was estimated to be around 5.5 billion pounds per year globally, and is expected to increase to over 7 billion pounds by 2023. Our business plans to start locally in California, where wildfires are a constant threat. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has allocated $536 million to fight wildfires, which can be applied to our initial focus on fire remediation. Additionally, with the wide range of our product, we later have access to industries like fertilizer or industrial waste management, which boast market sizes of billions to trillions of dollars.
And currently there are methods for removing ammonium from wastewater plants, such as denitrification. However, these methods have not been tested on natural bodies of water because of their limited mobility and potential danger to aquatic life, making them unreliable.
As for our milestones, we plan to start out by testing our product for the first 3 months and then filtering 2 rivers in the first year. We additionally plan to conduct a market study during this time to look more into our potential field. Once testing is finished, we plan to apply for a grant with the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, NFWF, which is an organization that offers funding for marine preservation efforts of up to $1.5 million.
By the second year, we plan to expand to 4 rivers. We will reach the management sector, a potential market for our product. Additionally, we will spread information to the public about this issue in order to raise awareness and grow our business.
Year 3, we plan to filter 10 rivers. We will continue to grow our relationship with the EPA and NFWF in order to maintain funds, and we will begin to venture into the industrial waste cleanup.
Our product has an initial fee of $25,000, which includes the installation fee, initial water testing and survey, and the first 2 weeks of check-ins. And with all costs considered, including the cost of personnel, raw materials, we estimate that it would take us about $10,000 to create and install our product and to conduct those first 2 weeks of check-ins.
After this initial fee, there will be a service fee that will depend on various factors such as the size of the river, additional water quality check-ins, and the number of employees needed.
The overall company cost for the first 3 years, including personnel, raw materials, payroll, taxes, annual cost, and one-time cost, is $3.3 million.
So why invest? Well, for starters, our product is the first of its kind. There's no product on the market that filters ammonium phosphate from natural bodies of water, much less a service. Secondly, if ammonium phosphate runoff is not addressed, this will become a long-term problem with reduction in land value and a decline in marine health. Lastly, our product is versatile. Ammonium phosphate runoff has many sources, including industrial waste, fire retardants, and fertilizers. So there's a lot of potential in the market.
Let's keep our rivers in check with NanoCheck. Thank you for your time.
Great job. All right, so let's go to the judges for some Q&A. And I'm setting a timer for 5 minutes.
I have a question. So you suggested, you said that your fee was going to be $25,000. How did you arrive at that fee?
Yeah, so for arriving at that fee, we considered the cost of the raw materials, and we took the scenario of a 100-foot river, which would take about 50 of our mesh bags and a little over 100 feet of river and 5 buoys. And then from there, we calculated the raw materials cost. And then we took how much it would cost for our employees to actually go and install the product. And altogether, that came out to about $10,000. And so then from there, we know that our product is the first of its kind in the market. So we marked up the price to $25,000.
Okay, so I'm gonna also ask Howard's opinion on this, but this seems to be like a really valuable, ecologically valuable product that you have proposed. And I just think you could charge a whole lot more for it. That's just a gut reaction.
So for that, we also have a service fee that will be variable depending on the job. And there we plan to charge more based on if the size of the river is larger, or if we need more time because we would need more check-ins depending on how big it is or how widespread the problem is, and like multiple check-ins or checkpoints you would have per river.
Just remember that even though you calculate, this is just a learning moment here.
Mhm.
Even though you calculate absolutely your like initial threshold price that you're going to charge, don't discount that you can charge a heck of a lot more for something like this.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a science question or a feasibility question. So in that description, you said, some hundreds of feet of river, but most rivers are miles long. And so I'm confused about two things I hope you can talk about. One, how do you make sense of that difference between your sort of little tiny bit of river and the real extent of a river? But more importantly, if you're just having buoys, they only sample a little bit of water. And so why did you choose to have a set of buoys along the river, given that rivers flow, as opposed to a whole lot of buoys in one place that span the whole width of the river? I mean, how do you plan to meet every ammonium phosphate molecule in this river and get it absorbed?
Right. So we were thinking that along the width of the river, we would have like basically a line along the width of the river, right? And then it would have right there in the picture, every 2 or so feet, we'll have a mesh bag, right? And then based on the size of the river, we'll have like another line of, of our mesh bags. And then, so like we're hoping like the water would flow through, and then the zeolite and nanoparticles would be able to absorb the ammonium and phosphate.
So here's another question. Have you done any calculations of the total amount of ammonium phosphate that your bags can absorb and the actual levels of contamination that are in rivers? And do the numbers match?
Right. So I think according to the paper that we found the science from, the amount of ammonium that's removed is about, I think, 87%. So it's pretty high. And then like that goes through the product, right? And then the amount of phosphate was, I think, 60-something%, 65%. And then, as you said, as for like the concentration of ammonium phosphate in the river, there are a lot of sources of ammonium phosphate, such as fire retardants like Phosgene, and then fertilizers and industrial waste. So yeah.
Okay, so just one clarification. There's two different concepts. There's if you have some solution, what fraction of it will be absorbed? And then there's what's the total capacity of your material to absorb stuff? And what's the total amount of stuff? So that's like a mole to mole counting. And that's the question is, how many bags do you need to actually absorb all the stuff that gets into a river in a typical spill event?
On the paper that In the paper that we found, it said that it had an 80% efficiency of collecting the ammonium and phosphate. Now, of course, we can't simulate like a scenario right now because we're all online. So we're just estimating that it will be able to collect a lot of ammonium, and then we're going to measure the concentration levels to adjust our product into how long our product should be in the river, and then how many mash bags we're going to use.
Yeah, like we reached out to a California fire ecologist working for the U.S. Forest Service, and it don't need to like purify and remove all of the ammonium phosphate. It just becomes lethal to fish when there is a high concentration, which is about around 80%. So our product successfully moves the correct amount needed.
Okay,
So-
I'll let other people ask questions.
Yeah, so that's been 5 minutes. So we are out of time, but if there are any really excited questions from judges, we can probably take one more if there are any.
Yeah, I would just add one kind of additional points for both between Sarah and actually Sonia, which is I think when you start calculating your unit economics here of what's needed, I think taking into account what Sarah has mentioned about exactly how much do you really need to be able to kind of get the absorption out, that'll obviously impact the cost for your deployment out here. And I don't know if the depth of river makes a difference here. The total volume of water that you actually are looking at, because every river is not exactly the same depth or same width or whatever the case may be. You have to be careful about your unit economics. And to Sonia's point, you should really look at this from a value extraction standpoint versus a margin standpoint per se, right? The value you're providing is something you want to calculate before you. Obviously, looking at your gross margins is important, but look at the value that you're providing is something that you should look at versus just recalculating the margin that you're able to get. Sometimes, to Sonia's point, you could be 90% margin here, which is perfectly fine if that's just as valuable to your end customer. So I think you'll probably need to do some work on your unit economics kind of here, from a combination of Sonia's comment and Sarah's comment.
I know we're out of time. I have to say one super quick thing. I have a friend who works for one of the power companies, and when they screw up and they dump something in a river, the amount that the state fines them to clean it up is astronomically huge. And they will pay like anything to get out of those state fines. And so it's not how much it costs, it's how much you're being fined if you don't do it.
That's right.
Very good points. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to our first team. Not easy to go first, so well done.
Yes.
Yes, well done. So next is, I believe this team is called Team Synthetic.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Samantha Linnell.
I'm Helena Clannon.
I'm Samantha Via Augustine. And we're Passive.
We're proposing a filtration and degradation system to remove microplastics in drinking water. So because of the COVID-19 pandemic, people have grown a lot more concerned about their health and the health of their loved ones. A new spotlight has been put upon vulnerable populations concerning their safety and health and well-being because of this. And while people are taking new preventative measures to stay healthy, too many are uninformed of the lurking danger of microplastics in their water. Microplastics are tiny plastic pieces ranging from 10 nanometers to 5 millimeters. Individuals who consume 90,000 microplastics annually by bottled water alone, and those who consume water from tap intake around 4,000. The diagram on the right shows how much microplastics each human consumes after X amount of time. We learned after interviewing our local water agency that the issue is that water filtration agencies do not currently monitor microplastic contamination because it does not meet the requirements to be on the UCMR list, leaving individuals susceptible to the ingestion of microplastics, which are a potentially deadly contaminant that individuals will be forced to deal with on their own.
When you hear of plastics in water, many people automatically think of marine life, but they are not the only victims of plastic waste. 93% of bottled water and 94% of tap water contain microplastics, meaning that no one is left untouched by this issue. Microplastics are carriers for harmful toxins such as BPA that are released into the bloodstream and can cause many health issues. The figure on the left shows the harmful effects of the chemical BPA. In the figure on the right, scientists found damage to the digestive tract, infertility, and cancer after bioaccumulation in the liver, kidney, and gut in mice and rats. Based on emerging research on how microplastics affect health, potential markets for Plastive include people in hospitals, childcare facilities, and nursing homes, due to the fact they're more vulnerable. Later, we can expand to individuals throughout Santa Clarita who are health or environmentally cautious.
Our 6-stage faucet filter would not only be capable of filtering microplastics down to 200 nanometers, but also large microorganisms, chlorine, pesticides, herbicides, bacteria, parasites, heavy metals, limescale, lead, and PFAS, while also improving the water's taste and smell.
Our system would also provide individual consumers a means to recycle their used filters through our company. Once sent to our facility, the microplastics within the filter will be removed and subjected to photocatalytic reactions to create usable byproducts. In our case, we're going to use it as feedstock for syngas because we are creating the byproducts of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Just to briefly explain how photocatalysis works, photocatalysis is a chemical process that eventually creates OH radicals, which are electrophilic by nature. Because microplastics are so electron-rich, the OH radicals non-selectively oxidize microplastics into the byproducts of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. The byproducts created will be sold to other companies as feedstock for syngas. Syngas would not only bring profit to our company, but would also provide the benefit of handling the byproducts in a proper way so as not to cause more harm than good to the environment.
Competitors similar to Plastive that are currently on the market include Brita, LifeStraw, and reverse osmosis. The most common consumer filter used is a Brita filter since it is inexpensive, although it lacks the ability to filter and degrade microplastics. There are currently 2 different types of filters that could potentially filter out microplastics, which are reverse osmosis and LifeStraw, but only Plastive can degrade them as well. Compared to reverse osmosis, the lifespan of our filter is only 3 months, but our product is a lot cheaper since reverse osmosis costs $195.15 compared to our $65 filter. Overall, our product is more practical and achieves more.
For the first year, Plastive would need approximately $810,000 for the core functionality of our company, including payroll services, one-time purchases, market studies, and other annual costs. Our product would cost $31 to produce and would be sold at $65 a unit. The filter replacements would cost $40 each.
By year 1, we plan to finalize scientific research of our product and begin producing a functional model for purchase. By year 2, we want to fine-tune our product and begin wide-scale production. To sell our product and get our company name out there, we also plan to do advertising to develop into wider visibility for year 3. In year 3, we want to continue manufacturing our product to break even financially and go further with more investment into advertising our product. On the left is the figures needed for the first 3 years of operation, and on the right is our timeline of milestones.
Plastive is a company that strives to provide microplastic-free, high-quality drinking water to consumers. It's well past time for people to care about how their drinking water affects the health of not only themselves, but their loved ones. Our product will help create a healthy and safe future for both you and the environment. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. All right, we've got 5 minutes for Q&A, so judges.
Oh, real quick question on your unit economics. I'm probably the guy on the panel that probably keeps on asking about your profitability and how much it costs. Your cost is $31 to produce kind of one contained system. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just trying to sell it for 65. Are you going to sell it directly, or are you going to sell it through like a Target or Walmart or some distribution?
We're planning to sell it directly to our consumers at first because we're going to hospitals and like daycares and elderly homes. So after the first few years of production, we're planning to then market to other customers. So we were going to start off in just our valley, just to start off with. And then through there, we could later on do like a Target or Amazon.
And then your replacement filters, what's the cost of your replacement filters?
$40 each.
No, what's your production cost?
The filters, they're also $30 each to create.
Right. So if that's the case, you might have an issue with your margins here, and your margins. If it's still costing $30, there's no additional decrement in cost. Making $9 incur is going to be challenging, especially if you're doing direct. When you're shipped, by the time you add in the logistics and fulfillment cost of it, you may or may not be right side up here on a margin basis. And just as a quick note, if you sell through distribution, hopefully your costs can come down here, because the guy in the middle is going to take some margin here as well, right? So hopefully maybe you guys have a plan for reduction of cost in years 2, 3, and 4 as you get to volume. Just the type of situations where maybe you're kind of outsourcing production to a higher volume manufacturer or something like that.
Okay, so I have a question. I was totally with you with all the filtration and the issues and what needed to be taken out. But then when we got to the catalytic conversion to fuel, I was lost. How are you going to practically do that, given that you've got just a small amount of microplastics basically in a little filter?
So we were comfortable taking those byproducts and converting it into, well, not converting it, we're selling it as syngas, because once we start, getting business and more people are coming, those microplastics are going to start adding up, and as well as their byproducts. We felt safe selling it as feedstock for syngas because the amount can vary, since it's simply just the purpose of it is to try to create synthetic gas.
But how do you collect it and ship it?
Our facilities would be able to handle that, because our customers would be sending us their filters.
They'd be sending the filters back. But I guess
yeah,
the
they'd be
question
sending
is,
it back to us.
is the cost of the shipping worth what you'd get out of it? I think that's the real question.
In the long run, possibly yes.
Because there's an energy cost associated with driving a truck and driving a plane. So everything has an energy cost. And that, forget money, I know, we'll let our VCs talk to you about money. Forget money, just actual energy balance in terms of the energy of the universe. Is it worth it to ship it back for what you'd get out?
We would say yes.
Okay.
All right, we've got about 1 minute left for questions. So if any other judges have any questions, please chime in.
I'll have to follow if nobody else has one, which is where are you manufacturing this, or who do you intend to manufacture this with, or are you going to do it yourself?
We plan to do it by ourselves in the first year, and then expand to manufacturers to help us out once we start going into bulk.
And when you calculate your cost for that you need, did you take into account the capital expenditure cost to actually stand up a manufacturing facility if you're going to do this on your
own? I think we took into account our own manufacturing capabilities, and for the first year, and then for the second year, we did take into account that we would have to, our cost to create the filter would rise slightly in order to pay those manufacturing companies to make our product.
Right. So something to keep in mind, usually when you shift to a outsourced manufacturing, they're supposed to lower your cost, kind of, so that that's the rationale to kind of move them over, especially at volume. Maybe I think it seems like you guys are trying to do a kind of pilot production line kind of in-house to kind of prove that it's manufacturable and whatnot. But something you have to keep in mind is that you're going to have to stand up some sort of facility. Did you figure out kind of how much volume you could ship or how much volume you can make in your own facility?
We did not calculate that.
Okay, no worries.
And with that, I think that is time. So group 2, thank you so much. Well done. Next, we've got Dave Hicks's team.
Hello, we are students from Sherman Oaks CES, and our product is HIT ID, magnetic compound fluid, rubber lining, and helmets.
In the US, there's an estimated 3.8 million concussions due to competitive sports and recreation, with roughly half going unreported. 69% of athletes have reported playing with concussion symptoms, and of these players, 40% of the coaches did not know. These untreated concussions often lead to impacted brain function, especially within young players. Examples include CTE, which causes memory loss, dementia, and physical repercussions later on in life, as seen in the picture on the right, and second impact syndrome, which is often fatal. Yet, with our product HIT ID, it aims to reliably protect athletes by determining if they have sustained a concussion through real-time monitoring.
So HIT ID is a detachable helmet lining made out of piezoelectric rubber. When it's compressed, this rubber produces a voltage, and we are able to measure and display this data in our application.
Based on impressive and intensive research by Kunio Shimada for MCF rubber, we plan to further with our own. We would use natural rubber and magnetic compound fluid or a slurry of iron oxide nanoparticles to make rubber liquid. This is then solidified through a rubber vulcanizer similar to the production process of tires. With the vulcanizer, there will also be the application of a magnetic field to create magnetic clusters and an electrical field to produce voltage from the compression of those crystalline structured magnetic clusters. This process allows for our MCF rubber piezoelectric sensor to be highly accurate compared to other sensors. This piezoelectricity is possible due to the movement of charges in crystal when compressed visualized on the left. This allows for the net charge on top of the rubber to be positive and negative on the bottom. The use of the electrodes then allows for an electric current throughout the rubber and thus voltage, which has a direct relationship with pressure.
In order to transmit this impact data, our product is equipped with the U-Blox BMD380 microtransceiver powered by two C3032 coin cell batteries for approximately 9 hours of use. The BMD380 is incredibly small at only 9.5 by 7.5 millimeters and utilizes a mesh networking protocol to extend its already impressive range of 500 meters even further by hopping the signals in between players' helmet linings and back to a centralized receiver on the sidelines, as shown in the graphic below.
Our main market area will focus on youth sports leagues, projected to be about $77.6 billion by 2026. The youth accounts for 70% of sports-related concussion seen in the emergency department. So for our first year, we'll focus on Pop Warner football players, and then we'll branch out into high school athletics, ultimately branching out to sporting equipment stores.
Here we could take a look at how we compare with two of our biggest competitors and see our advantages. First off, HIT ID starts at a low cost of $150, falling on the cheaper side as an insert. Secondly, the rubber is a lot more durable compared to its competitors and does not hinder protection or comfortability due to its small size. Lastly, our product delivers all impact locations and numbers to coaches without missing a single hit and does not rely on thresholds to detect concussions.
Although we don't intend to profit until beyond our fourth year, for our first year, we'll be focusing on laboratory testing and seeking partnerships. Our second year, we'll be looking into field testing, establishing those partnerships, and doing further market research. Our third year, we'll begin selling to Pop Warner teams. And then by our fourth year, we project to be selling in major sporting goods stores.
Based on the financial model provided by CNSI Nanovation, our projected value for the total investment needed for the first 3 years is approximately $3.4 million, though some costs were excluded due to their difficulty of estimation. Currently, HIT ID's price is expected to be only $150, and below you can see our yearly projected raw materials cost in comparison to that retail price that makes it so cheap for a piece of technology that accurately detects concussions, especially in comparison to contemporary technology.
Lastly, HIT ID is applicable to a wide range of sports and recreations, including martial arts body armor, lacrosse, ice hockey, cycling, and much more, which we all see in our future. Thank you so much from the HIT ID team, and we would love to answer your questions.
All right, great job. Judges, 5 minutes.
I'll go. Your payroll cost for 3 years is $186,000. Oh, those are payroll services. Okay, you answered my question. Thank you.
I had a quick question on what is the cost of per unit here? What, you know, for your retail sell price is 150. What's the cost to actually per piece or per helmet or per whatever the unit here is?
So I can answer this question if it's okay with my group. But per unit, it takes about $74 to produce, which includes the BMD 380, 2 coin cells, and all the materials needed in order to produce one lining. And we marked it up to $150.
And you're just selling the lining. You're not selling the entire helmet. Is that correct?
That is correct. We are not intending to sell with the helmet. Instead, we are intending to maybe partnership in the future with helmet companies, and such as Riddell or any other larger companies, so that our helmet lining can be used within their helmets.
Got it. And do you expect that price or their cost to decrease at volume, or do you think that that's the price, that's the at volume price?
I think I can probably add on to this. As was seen previously in our projected timeline, through our second and third years, we hope to be establishing several partnerships, a lot of those with nanoparticle and rubber polymer manufacturers, which we hope will allow us to better extend our reach in terms of our audience and lower our cost. Additionally, to clarify the helmet lining situation, we hope to sell this as a lining rather than as a helmet, as many of our competitors do, as this will allow it to be applicable to a wide range rather than just football helmets or a specific type of helmet. Our goal is that this could be worn almost like a swim cap type apparatus underneath a helmet that could then be used for bicycling or hockey or any sport that uses a helmet.
So also adding on to what Aiden said, there are two other considerations as well, in that we didn't have some specific costs due to just difficulty of their estimation, because it really would depend on our company in practice as opposed to theory. So I think those would definitely go into the cost as well, and would likely increase the cost of MCF rubber of our product in contrast. Additionally, I believe that we basically just are using this as a baseline. So any field research and like market research that would go on to potentially increase the retail price of our product based on how receptible it is to our market.
Okay, so I have the science question. So the basic idea here, I think, is really cool, and it's a big unmet need. I do not understand the basic science, however. So if you have magnetic nanoparticles in a rubber mesh, I can see how compression will change the magnetic interactions and change the magnetization, but it's not a piezoelectric. So how are you getting an electric signal out of that magnetic cluster array?
So I think in terms of the chemistry, we would have to look into that with research, but the point is that you would have iron oxide nanoparticles, and then with the application of pressure and a magnetic field, it would bond with other nanoparticles, metal nanoparticles within the slurry and within the mesh, that would then allow for the creation of magnetic clusters, which possess characteristics or like attributes that are fairly similar to piezoelectric crystals.
They're not, I mean, they're magnetic, but they're not ferroelectric. I think there is probably a way to do this with making conductive paths. So piezoelectric makes a voltage with a pressure. I think that what you probably could do is generate conductive paths so that you change the resistance with the pressure. So I think that there are possibly ways to do this, but I don't see how piezoelectricity can come into this, because there's no piezoelectric materials in here. Sorry, go ahead.
I think on the chemical level, we did research into what exactly piezoelectricity meant, and so we didn't really understand originally what that meant. And so looking into it, it was that it lacked like a center of symmetry. So from the magnetic clusters, we saw that like they had that kind of similar readjustment of, okay, positive net charge on top and slight negative net charge on the bottom of each of the magnetic clusters. I think that was purely based on observation, but I think in terms of iron oxide nanoparticles, if one of our team members could add in terms of, okay, is it a piezoelectric, is it a ferroelectric material? I believe that it is, but I might be completely wrong. And so I feel like it would be furthered by research. But I think based on the observations, there was within the research paper, upon compression, this production of voltages. And I think that's generally attributed to the magnetic.
So you have a paper that shows you generate a voltage upon compression?
Sorry, if you wanted me to hop in here. I can, yes, we have been following closely the work of Kunio Shimada, which is a researcher who has done a lot of work in the field of MCF rubber and in the application of piezoelectrics in MCF rubber. And so from several of his papers, as well as a lot of his colleagues, they have been able to replicate, or not replicate, but to create rubber sensors that do produce voltage with the application of pressure and the deformation of those magnetic clusters. And they are using it in applications such as a robotic skin of sorts, which would allow for more sensitive sensors on something like industrial robotics. So we are, from our understanding of his and his colleagues' research, we have found that this can also be applied as a more, as a diverse sensor for impact data.
Okay. I don't know how it works, but if there is a paper that says it works, there's probably something that does work. But I don't. Okay. Now I want to read the paper.
Yes. And then with that, I think we need to move on to our next group. But thank you all so much. Really great presentation. So our next team is from Merrick Chang. And whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Are they muted?
Possibly.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. My name is Isaac Augustine, and this is Project Grip.
My name is Riza Malasador.
My name is Giselle Alvarez.
My name is Matthew Cortez.
And my name is Diego Morales.
Project Drip, developed, reinvented, innovative, and pure, from William Workman High School, is attempting to purify and filter lead to a safe level of drinking, preventing the health side effects. Our product is a water tank filter where blotter paper sits in a water tank, and after a given amount of time, the water will be, there'll be a safe level of lead for which we can drink, which suits the increasing demand for such a filter in high lead concentration water sources, such as Flint, Michigan. USA Today's investigation solidified that Flint was not an isolated case. The report identified almost 2,000 water systems spanning all 50 states where 6 million people are supplied with water containing excessive levels of lead. In this situation, our product will provide a cost-effective method to remove lead that builds upon pre-existing infrastructure in areas where lead removal currently does not exist or is inadequate.
Okay, so the United States is home to some of the most advanced infrastructure in the world, but many communities around the country don't benefit from it, which leaves millions of Americans with substandard or non-existent water systems. So in places like Flint, Michigan, lead contamination is still an issue that has yet to be solved. And the reason lead became an issue was because there was corrosion of the water distribution system in the service pipes. So in an attempt to solve that problem, a settlement was reached between the state and the federal government, which resulted in $350 million to Flint in order to fund Michigan to examine and replace lead water service lines. Not only that, but an additional $100 million from the government was provided as well, all of which provided for water quality improvements, pipe replacements, and more. So in total, about $450 million went towards Flint, Michigan, which is pretty expensive, right? So our product wants to change that. Our product is an affordable solution to filter out the lead and provide fresh, clean water to people all over the world. So if you move over to the left side, to the right side, we have a few effects from lead contamination. First off, there have been reports that quantify the persuasive nature of childhood lead exposure on a country's economy, which estimates the total cost in lost economic potential in low middle class countries of $1 trillion. The consumption of lead can lead to brain cancer, kidney damage, and other life-threatening illnesses. Infants and young children are particularly vulnerable as their bodies are still developing, and even at low levels of lead exposure, there are significant neurological effects, but also physical effects, such as reduced growth, delayed puberty, or decreased hearing. And health effects in adults can include impaired kidney functioning, hypertension, and reproduction in men and women. And there are about 900,000 deaths per year due to long-term effects of lead. So in all, we're designing a more effective way to remove lead from water in all places that it is needed.
Okay, so for the current state of arts, our competitors, the researchers for the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, they've created a $16 water purification system that removes bacteria, viruses, and other contaminants using a specially crafted mixture of nanoparticles. And their device is currently being used in small communities in India and offering an affordable way to provide at least 10 liters of clean, safe drinking water to smaller families. But there's a need for lead removal of water in smaller markets where lead removal through wastewater facilities is currently not available. And the upfront costs of reverse osmosis and large-scale distillation are extremely high. So there's a market to implement new technologies that builds upon existing infrastructure at a cheaper price point. Our product in particular will be able to be put on the market for the government, industries, and utility companies. With the government, they would have no effective treatments or methods to reduce lead contamination, and this would make an extraordinary hit while also improving water quality throughout the world. So our product seen on the right is placed in a wastewater facility reservoirs or water holding tanks and stays in the tanks for about 2 weeks. During its stay in the tank, the water paper absorbs all the lead and purifies the water. And once the 2 weeks have passed, the water paper can be removed from the tank and replaced with another filter or another tank. So the science behind this is the silver nanoparticles are synthesized by chemical reduction method in the presence of the cellulose paper. Therefore, the nanoparticles can grow in the network of the cellulose paper. The negatively charged silver nanoparticles can be used to attract positively charged lead ions in water via electrostatic forces. And the surface of those silver nanoparticles and cellulose paper can be further functionalized with the amino acids. The amino acids are negatively charged, therefore can add extra negativity to the filtering system to achieve an enhanced lead absorption.
The advantages to our method of lead removal is that it provides a cost-effective way to remove lead in comparison to more traditional ways in the industry. For instance, reverse osmosis, which prices can range from $12,000 to $18,000 just as an installation price. Our product is also a double-sided filter, which allows for greater surface area and a greater amount of lead removal. Provided by our mentor, the product can filter approximately 42.3 grams of lead per filter. And given the levels of lead concentration by a 2018 report evaluating water lead levels during the Flint water crisis, gave us 26.8 micrograms of lead per liter at the 90th percentile, and it would filter out 157 liters or 41,000 gallons of water before the need of exchanging filters. To put this in perspective, the average person uses 20 to 50 liters of water for their daily use. And let's say in a theoretical village of 100 people, the upper limit would be around 5,000 liters of water per day, meaning the filter can meet the needs of this village for a solid 1 month. Our product is also consumer friendly with easy usage, which provides hooks to attach to a variety of different tanks and gives chance for trouble-free filter replacements when needed.
So for our milestones, by the end of the first year, we hope to have accomplished a working prototype and a standard of quality we hope to meet for each unit, a secure stream of funds in the form of investors or bank loans to pursue expansion of our capabilities, a location of business, which is our headquarters, that favors our economic standards. For example, a location's economic policy and export processing zones, a network of employees and engineers to aid us in our journey, a US patent, which is estimated to be around 35,000 based on other market patents. By the end of our second year, we expect to have a first final version of our product built on the successes and failures of the prototype, conducted a trial exam on a small regions to discover the limitations and restrictions of our product, advanced our labors and process of business to ensure faster and higher quality production. By the end of our 3 years, we seek to have established a method of mass production and roll out our product in smaller yet effective quantities, released in smaller regions in the United States to assess any problems, situations, or consequences that may occur, a standard product built on 3 years of trial and error to minimize flaws yet maximize production, and a NFC certification. At the end of it all, we anticipate a mass release to local governments, industries, and utility companies that use water purification facilities, an increase in profits, and be able to repay some of our debts to our partners, and prepare for recalls and have a plan of action to remedy those woes.
Considering the amount of cost.
Hello, everyone. Sorry to interrupt, but we are a bit over time. So we actually have to cut it to the judges now for Q&A to make sure that everything is running on schedule. Judges, questions?
So I'll start with a quick question. You're absorbing lead using negatively charged silver. There's lots of negatively charged things out there. Why is silver better than anything else?
The silver nanoparticle, as we've seen compared to others, are more cheaper, and it is able to filter, absorb better than most other products.
But you're adding amino acids. Those are just sort of normal negatively charged things. What's special about the silver? I don't know this paper, so I don't know what, I don't know the answer.
Well, I don't currently have an answer for you yet, but we'll get back to you.
I have a question. Who is your customer? We can't hear. There you go.
Oh, so we are advertising to governments and also local cities.
So maybe you can go to the last slide you didn't get to, which my question is going to be on your cost anyways. How did you, and on a per unit basis here, how much can you, based upon this price per unit here, $650 per unit, what is the volume of water you can service with that?
Somebody's muted, I think. Somebody's talking.
Is somebody talking?
We would be able to filter out 157,000 liters or 41,000 gallons of water with our
Okay, so that's your unit that you're selling here, and then you're mentioning the cost for that unit is basically $300. Is that correct?
$650 for the product.
That's what your selling price is $650, right? But your production cost is how much? $300?
Oh yes.
Right. And is that production cost at volume, or are you manufacturing that kind of yourself, or you're outsourcing that production?
Is somebody talking? They're muted. Is anybody answering?
Wait, sorry, can you repeat your question?
Sorry, no worries. So my question was kind of, how are you producing your units? Are you producing them in-house? Are you outsourcing it to somebody else to produce it for you? Kind of what is the what's the $300 cost based on? What type of manufacturing process? Is that a volume? Is that making 10 a year?
The 300 would be making about for 100 units per year at the start for the first year.
And then are you manufacturing that yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you take into account the capital expenditure to produce it yourself in your estimate for how much money you need?
Yeah, we included the amount of cost per raw material and also the rental amount for the facility too.
And how about the equipment to actually make it?
We also included that within the cost.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and I think that is time. So thank you guys so much. Before we take a break, we've got one more team. So that would be Jaya Leslie's team.
Hi, we are Nanocarbon from Fairmont Preparatory Academy. In hopes of reducing the harmful contribution of carbon dioxide to climate change, there is currently a national effort to transition the United States out of utilizing fossil fuels into renewable energy sources. Although moving to renewable energy sources might sound like a good idea, in reality, it puts tens of thousands of Americans out of work and will shut down the $698 billion coal industry. Today, we propose our two-step system that solves both of these problems. To achieve this, our product uses nanotechnology to capture carbon dioxide released from smokestacks and convert it to marketable carbon nanotubes, a market that is expected to grow by 17% per year.
Our product is a two-step system that will be placed on top of smokestacks at coal power plants. We will first isolate the carbon dioxide from flue gases in the cap, which is our first step, and then convert the carbon dioxide into carbon nanotubes in compartments in our second step. The top view of our first step, the cap, shows how we use two layers of electrochemical cells to capture the carbon dioxide and channels and flaps to regulate the movement of gases. When one layer is charged, the other will be discharged so the carbon dioxide can be released. In each of the layers, there are individual electrochemical cells that contain electrodes coated with carbon nanotubes and a variety of composites. During charging and discharging, the carbon dioxide will be captured and released, respectively, via a redox reaction. Finally, we will convert the captured carbon dioxide into carbon nanotubes via a molten electrolysis in our second step. This conversion uses readily available materials and occurs at low electrical energy but high Coulombic efficiency, producing a high yield of carbon nanotubes.
Nanocarbon will target the carbon capture and sequestration market, a market that includes technology that captures carbon dioxide and stores it. This market is projected to increase from $4.43 billion in 2017 to $14.2 billion by 2025 in the United States. Although this market is being driven by big corporations such as ExxonMobil and startups such as Project Tundra, we provide an innovative solution that converts carbon dioxide into a useful product rather than storing it. In our first year, we will be focusing on the coal power plants in Wyoming since it is one of the largest coal producers in the United States. After this, we plan to sell our product to all 241 coal power plants nationwide. We then plan to expand our target market to other smokestack industries such as steel and cement plants.
So what sets nanocarbon apart? Nanocarbon is novel because it combines the capture of carbon dioxide with its subsequent conversion into carbon nanotubes. Carbon nanotubes are 100 times stronger than steel, 1/4 as dense, and have a variety of uses ranging from complex applications in rockets to simple ones in golf clubs and are even used in our carbon capture technology. Our system effectively turns a waste product into a material with countless applications, creating a circular economy. Nanocarbon also allows coal power plants to produce green coal by significantly reducing carbon dioxide emissions, preventing their closures, and keeping a vital industry going.
How can we turn nanocarbon into a reality? We have split up our milestones and goals over 3 years. We don't expect any profits in the first year, during which we will test and prototype nanocarbon, pursue a utility patent, and begin marketing at local cold energy conferences. In the second year, we will begin manufacturing and selling nanocarbon across Wyoming's power plants. Once we start selling nationwide in the third year, we will begin making profit through both the system and produce carbon nanotubes. In the future, nanocarbon will consider expanding its reach to other industries that produce carbon dioxide. In total, we project the need for roughly $23 million in funding to turn nanocarbon into a reality. If we are selling our nanocarbon system for $490,000, we are able to begin making profit within our third year of operation. Despite efforts to move towards cleaner and renewable energies, the reality is that we will continue to burn fossil fuels in order to meet the increasing energy demands of the world. Nanocarbon provides a lifeline for coal companies nationwide and revolutionizes the carbon capture industry. Hopefully, with your investment in nanocarbon, our cutting-edge technology can not only save a multi-billion-dollar industry from closure, but save our planet from consequential, irreversible damage. Thank you.
All right, great job. Questions?
I can start. So, oh, Denise, were you talking?
I want to hear what you have to say first.
Okay, so can you compare and contrast your technology to other options where, so your idea is capture the carbon, do electrochemistry to convert it to carbon nanotubes. The other option is to capture the carbon, bury it under the ground, and then make carbon nanotubes out of some cheaper source. And overall, energetically, which one is, and there's a bunch of options. So could you just comment on all the different options that get you from the same starting point to the same ending point, but that don't necessarily have the same carbon atoms in the starting point and the ending point? I don't know who wants to take this, but what do you think?
So other companies just pretty much, they hide the problem by like storing the carbon dioxide somewhere else. But our product, we get rid of the problem by turning the carbon dioxide into a material that can be applied in everyday life for many useful applications.
But the issue is there's an energy balance. There's a money balance too, but Howard's going to ask you about the money balance. I don't know anything about that. In the energy balance, to convert carbon dioxide into carbon nanotube costs energy. And to generate that energy often generates more carbon dioxide. And so as a total energy balance, is it actually better to convert them into nanotubes or to bury it under the ground and use some other source of carbon to make your new nanotubes?
Some of the energy boon when burning the fossil fuels, some of the energy could be used to help provide energy needed for our conversion system.
I have a question. Denise, did you want to take a question?
I did. It was just a quick one. First of all, I think the way you guys are thinking is amazing. These are great issues to address. But I was curious, in your business plan that you're shipping supplies or materials in from China, and so that you have that time lag, and then you also might have issues with the government of China and their involvement in this. So, and their feelings about energy. So, why are you shipping your products in from China?
So our thought process to ship products from China was that it was the most cost efficient at the time.
Okay. And do you think there are any fees in Wyoming State that that you might have to include in your pitch later on to your investors?
So are you talking about like costs that include from shipping the materials from China, or just in general any other costs?
Well, I was talking about costs of shipping it and the time element, which might, you know, as we all know, when you ship things in from a fabricator or from anywhere, certainly China, there are time lapses and you just can't control that. And then I was wondering about the cost, and I was wondering if you've explored whether or not you'd have to, since you're doing this for green energy, whether the Chinese government might have a point of view about it, or if you have to talk to other countries if you're involving them in developing something like this. They might love it, but I was just wondering if you had explored that.
So we have not explored the thought that China would have something to think about our product. Our main thought process, once again, behind this is that we just wanted the products from China. We didn't think about mentioning what our product exactly does, but if that is something to consider, we will probably research further in our market study.
Well, I don't know. Howard will know that. We get Howard on it.
So my question is, and I think I know the answer, why Wyoming?
So we decided to base our facilities in Wyoming because it is one of the largest coal producers in the country. And it also has cheaper costs for like facilities and renting. So we decided to base our facilities there.
And when you looked at Wyoming, and this is kind of getting into Denise's issue, you know, I don't know about shipping and distribution from Wyoming, that's tricky. But can I also ask, and I'm going to look at Sarah as I ask this, does temperature have anything to do with this process, or is it purely technical?
Yes, temperature does have. So in our second system, the carbon dioxide conversion into carbon nanotubes would need approximately 800 degrees Celsius to heat up the system so that the molten electrolysis can occur.
Okay, so I was kind of getting at the fact, sorry I wasn't clear, that Wyoming is cold.
Yeah, compared to the temperatures required to make carbon nanotubes, every place is the same temperature.
Thank you, I learned something.
So with that, I think we're going to end our first session here. So let's all stand up, stretch, take a 5-minute break. And it's 11:20 right now. So we will be back at 11:25. Thank you to all of
You
our
guys have been amazing. It's amazing. It's going great.
Agreed.
Okay.
All right. Do we have all of our judges? I see Denise. I see Sonia. Do we have Howard? Do we have Sarah?
We have Howard.
I'm
You
here.
have me.
All right. Do we have our next team?
Yes,
Our
we
next
do.
team is from Mariana O'Brien. So whenever you guys are ready.
Can we go at any time?
Yes.
Okay. Lincoln Middle School presents NanoSoothe by Yasha Shah.
Jordan McLeod.
Unai Halpern. Richard Williams. Our company is called Nanosooth. Nanosooth is an antimicrobial, biocompatible, and biodegradable hydrogel that is used to efficiently heal medium-sized and jagged cuts. These cuts can often occur when pursuing extreme sports such as biking, surfing, and more. Currently, when these cuts occur, stitching is required, causing the consumer to waste thousands of dollars.
The need for NanoSooth. When people pursue extreme sports, moderate injuries occur frequently. Here are the statistics. According to Biomed Central and Bandgrip, out of over 35 million surfers worldwide, 45.2 of stay-out-of-water injuries were moderate to severe cuts. According to the Bicycle Guider and Stanford University, out of the 1 billion cyclists worldwide, over half of them sustain moderate cuts annually. These statistics provide an essential need for our product's existence.
NanoSoothe is made up of 4 components: alginate and gelatin being the main component, bioactive glass or silica calcium nanoparticles being the hard structure, and larva-based solutions being the antimicrobial component. Together, these components create a perfect environment for skin regeneration.
The alginate gelatin component is essential since it has malleability. This makes sure that the gel has a smooth, toothpaste-like surface.
Additionally, the bioactive glass component provides a crystalline structure to make sure that the gel is not too malleable nor too hard. This is essential since we want to heal the wound, but also need a soft gel to do so.
As we mentioned previously, we will use the larvae-based solutions as the antimicrobial portion of the product. Within the larvae-based solutions are 2 chemicals called ceratocin and lucifensin, which are specific antimicrobial components of the product. In order to receive these components, we will extract the larvae-based solutions and incorporate them into the gel.
In addition to the hydrogel, we will also incorporate gauze and medical adhesive tape with the product. This is essential as the gauze and tape protects the wound. Overall, we will package the entire product as an aid kit with the gel, gauze, and tape provided. The kit will be small enough to fit in a small bag, making it convenient on the go.
Here are some examples of competitors. The red highlighting means that the specification is at a disadvantage. The yellow highlighting is an average specification, and the green highlighting is an advantage. Out of all 3 products provided, NanoSoothe takes the green in all categories but the pricing component, making it the #1 choice for the consumer.
Our market. Based on current projections, we presume that our market is worth approximately $14.5 billion. The number was derived from the amount of moderate cuts in extreme sports that occur on an annual basis. Moreover, the number was also used to determine how many units we should sell for the first year of operations.
Our company's cash requirements for the first 3 years are listed below. In total, the company will require around $1.7 million in the first year, $3.1 million in the second year, and $11.2 million in the third year. In total, the company will require $16 million in order to become a successfully operating company or a company that can grow without the need of investors.
Furthermore, as shown previously, there will be 2 departments within the company, the science department and the marketing department. These 2 departments are extremely important for the success of the company.
In the first year of operations, NanoSoothe plans to sell 5,000 units, but will not have a profit. This will be our test year for a market study in order to project our company's success. In the second year, NanoSoothe plans to sell 50,000 units and will also not make a profit. The second year will be our business year and will be heavily focused on selling the product to the consumer. In the third year, we plan to sell 500,000 units and will make a small profit. This year will be heavily focused on getting FDA approval. Finally, years 4+ will be focused on cutting product costs, returning the investment, and more. In year 4 itself, we plan to make us profit and to expand the company to its true potential. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, questions?
I can always start off. So a bunch of, just 2 questions. So can you talk a little bit more about the role of the silica, the carbonate in your thing? You said it makes it harder, but can you say, I mean, is it cross-linking the network? What's it doing? And then the other question is, you use a larvae-based antimicrobial. There's a lot of antimicrobials out there. Why did you choose this one, and why is it better than other options?
I can answer the second question for you. So we picked a larva-based solution because so it was really based off, when we first were doing it, we based it off of like diabetic cysts, and like the thing is that like that the diabetics commonly use maggot therapy, and because they tried other antibiotics, and because they got immune to them, their only option was maggot therapy. What we are doing is an alternative to the traditional antibiotic, in the sense that like it has the same antimicrobial stuff as, I don't know, Neosporin, for example. And so yeah, that's why I think that's why we did it.
So people don't get immune to it as fast, or microbes don't get immune to it as fast as other antimicrobials?
Yes, that's the thinking behind it.
And to answer your first question regarding the silica calcium nanoparticles, we need a hard structure because the gel, if the gel was something like, we showed the competitors before, I don't think I'm able, actually, yes, I am able. We showed the competitors before. So the competitors, including Medline and McKesson, the problem is they only have glycerin, which is non-crystalline. And in order to heal the wound, we need a hard structure to promote wound healing and for skin. So these 2 products will take longer to heal than something like our product, which has our malleable surface, it has our hard structure, and it has our antimicrobial component.
Okay, thank you.
You're including gauze and tape in your package, which isn't, it sounds like that is an aspect of convenience, but how do you know how big the wound is?
Well, the wounds are moderate injuries. There are moderate injury cuts, which means that the max they usually will be around 4 by 4 inches, which is the gauze tape provided, which is actually a very big piece of gauze, which could be easy to cut up if they need a smaller one. And we also provide multiple pieces of gauze, which they can tape together, and if they have a bigger wound. But our target is the moderate injuries in extreme sports, which will be around 3 inches long and such.
So quick question here. What is your cost on your production cost from your product?
So our product, it costs to make is $4.50. We will be using a third-party distribution center, which will add the cost of $4, causing the cost to be $8.50. And so we assume that our product will cost around $29 to sell to consumer. That way we are able to make a profit on the product.
And do you expect to go direct consumer, or are you expecting to sell through like CVS or something like that?
We expect to sell through surf shops, through skate shops, REIs, the extreme sports type of shops. We could also sell through companies like CVS, through Ralph's, through any of the supermarkets, but our main focus, since it is extreme sports, would be the surfing market, the skiing market, and those extreme sports markets.
And competitors, for example, here, you're competing against Medline at 4 ounces. If I simply divide that, I don't know what the cost of the ingredient is, but if assuming they were the same, they would be half that cost, right? So your 2 ounces are 4 ounces, right? So are you theoretically that much more cost effective than Medline, for example, here?
I would say that we would, because we also, in addition to Medline, actually, I think half of that would be around $25. So 24.5, I think is the exact, but we also providing our entire thing as an aid kit, making it more convenient for the consumer instead of having to buy separate products, which could be a hassle when it comes to first aid injuries. And also our product is extremely convenient on the go, because when you're out there skiing, when you're out there surfing, you need something at there in that moment in order to make sure that the number one, the wound doesn't get infected. Number two, so that way you won't actually have to go to the emergency room and waste thousands of dollars and such. We provide, I think our cost, I would believe, is in the same range as the other products provided.
And then with that, I think we are going to move on to the next group. So thank you guys very much. And our next team to go is from Christy Marr. The team on deck, do we have them here?
I don't think, or see, I don't know if they're here.
Saber,
okay. We can come back to them. We can just
Saber
a little
Nanovation.
bit. So the next team after that would be from Angela Leogis. Is that team here and ready to go?
Yes, we are here. I'll screen share right now.
Okay, great. Thanks.
All righty then. Can y'all see that okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Everest Express, created by nature, fueled by innovation.
Hi, we're Everest Express from Pacifica High School. I'm Joy.
I'm Gerald.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Natalie.
I'm Anthony.
So as of now, cold chain transport depends on a stable way to transport the majority of biological samples, vaccines, and all organs at low temperatures. But the biopharma industry currently relies solely on a single-use option, otherwise known as styrofoam, which is a poor fix to these problems in both cost efficiency and environmental terms.
Everest Express plans to produce cold chain transport boxes that will penetrate the current logistics market that exists between hospital chains, businesses, and organ transporting centers. Along with its eco-friendly and antimicrobial benefits and FDA certification, the Everest box boasts significantly higher reusability, durability, and insulative properties over its competitors at cost-efficient prices.
This is a 3D modeling of our product with the disassembled layers, as well as the fully assembled box in the top corner. Our product is a 2-layer box with the insulative material, nanowood, on the outside, and the antimicrobial PCL sheet on the interior, adhered with the BioTac PSA. Now, what exactly is nanowood? Nanowood is produced by the extremely small and naturally aligned nanocellulose fibers found in wood, roughly 30 nanometers wide in diameter. These extremely small fibers account for the energy transfer properties of the nanowood, whereby being aligned to one direction make heat transfer anisotropic, meaning that when heat enters the nanowood, it is absorbed and transferred through the nanofibers out of the box instead of in. Additionally, the alignment of millions of nanofibers makes nanowood an extremely durable material, handling up to 400 megapascals per square meter. Now, PCL is the biodegradable plastic that makes up the base of our antimicrobial sheet, able to handle temperature lows of -60 degrees Celsius. GSE is grapefruit seed extract, a naturally occurring antimicrobial agent that effectively kills microbes upon contact. When these two materials are mixed in a twin screw extruder, they create the biodegradable sheet that keeps the Everest box safe for 200 days. Finally is the pressure-sensitive adhesive, the BioTac S100 FDA, sourced from Bio4Life. This eco-friendly and FDA-approved permanent acrylic adhesive joins together our PCL and nanowood layers.
These materials give the Everest box its 4 key appeals. Biodegradability. The Everest box is 100% biodegradable, unlike styrofoam, which costs nearly $7 billion in environmental damage every year. Insulation. With one of the lowest K values, it is 2 times more insulating than styrofoam. FDA certification. We are the only cold chain transport box which will protect against physical, chemical, and microbial contamination according to FDA standards. And finally, reusability. With Nanowood's strength to weight ratio 8 times that of steel, it can be used about 14 times in a 200-day span. Ranging from biodegradability to reusability, the Everest box surpasses all other competitors in every aspect as shown by our table. The Everest box is priced at $43.13 per box, but can be used 14 times more than styrofoam, making our price for all of its other benefits vastly cost efficient.
Everest Express targets the cold chain biopharma logistics industry specifically. These sectors encompass hospital chains, in-state and national cold chain businesses involved in organ transplant, as well as medical and university labs.
Our company anticipates a loan of $3.4 million over a 3-year period that will be divided between various expenses. Regarding major expenses, there will be annual costs of marketing, FDA certification, labor, and raw materials, as well as one-time costs of furniture and machines. In the first year, we plan to use the first 3 months to develop the Everest box and apply for FDA certification. In the next 4 months, we will send out sample boxes to companies and use their feedback to further enhance the box. In the next 5 months, we anticipate that Everest Express will sign a contract with 2 of the companies for 3,500 boxes each. In year 2, we plan to sign a contract with 2 new small businesses and local hospital chains for 23,000 boxes, and network with larger national companies. By year 3, we expect to sell to 2 of those national companies, Contralant and AeroCare, while increasing sales to prior businesses for a total of 66,000 boxes.
Right now, we estimate our cost to manufacture our box to be around $5.75 per box. However, we plan on selling with a $43 with a net profit of $37. By the end of year 3, our company estimates a profit of around $750,000 and a gross profit margin of 22.15%. Our FDA approval for food transportation services will allow us to expand into other sectors of the cold chain market. As such, we can penetrate dairy culture, meat, and produce markets, just to name a few.
And a special thanks to our advisor, Ms. Logus, our mentors, Casey and Julia, Joseph Wong, Rita, and UCLA Nano. Thank you for listening.
All right, great job. Questions?
Denise, you're muted.
There we go. So I was just curious how you decided on this product, because it's interesting to see high school kids approach this important issue. So how did you decide on doing this?
I mean,
organ
what a great question.
transport?
When we started, I mean, of course, COVID's going on. We're all thinking about vaccines. And then when you think about vaccines, you think about Pfizer and how cold their vaccines need to be kept. We wanted a vaccine, we wanted a box that's better for the environment and better at its job than the current styrofoam, which is really terrible for the environment. And honestly, 20% of products are being wasted and contaminated due to temperature sensitive or due to microbes invading it. So our box, we're looking for Nanoscience. We found Nanowood, which is naturally found in wood, so it's biodegradable, but it's also completely durable and highly insulative. Then we found an antimicrobial sheet in PCL and GSE, the natural agent, and we found one of the world's first biodegradable adhesives to adhere our box's 2 layers to give both functions.
Fabulous. Thank you.
What's unique about your product?
What is unique about our product?
Yeah,
I think,
it sounds like you just assembled a product. What is unique about it? What does this do that someone else couldn't piece together on their own?
The most primary thing is that right now, Nanowood and PCL are primarily used in different sectors entirely. PCL is just a biodegradable plastic that's used to replace polyurethane foam, and it's being used in homes just for purposes of making it biodegradable plastic. We decided, most nanosciences are used by running through a material through a base to create a different product. Therefore, we ran GSE through the PCL base to give us the benefit of antimicrobiality. And also, Nanowood is currently just used in houses as an insulative material, but we wanted to shape it into a box because it's so durable and so insulative, it serves its purpose perfectly.
Okay, I'm just gonna mine an answer out of that. Is it because you treat it with an antimicrobial so that there's less possibility of contamination? Is that the uniqueness?
Yes. Right now, we're going to be the only cold chain transport box that has an FDA approval. And if you look at the FDA approved CDRH regulations, which stand for Center of Devices of Radiology and Health, they require that storage and transportation of products be under conditions that will protect against physical, chemical, and microbial contamination. Right now, no box handles any, sorry, there's a car that passed by. No box handles any microbial contamination into boxes except ours because of our sheet.
So let me ask a question about the nanowood. So is this just natural wood that happens to grow with this form? Are you taking wood fibers? Is nanowood made by taking wood fibers and reprocessing them into a different form?
We take nanocellulose is found in any wood, but our company specifically is going to use North American basswood. We put that through a solution of boiling sodium hydroxide and sodium sulfite to get rid of lignin and hemicellulose, two primary components of the cell wall, leaving behind only the cellulose nanofibers. We then run that through a freeze dryer to make it harden and make it into the shape that it is now.
Okay, so it's the alignment and the fiber structure naturally comes from trees, but then it's processed to make it, to get rid of the other tree junk and make it
a
nanoscale.
Yeah, get rid of tree junk.
Okay.
So quick question, I think on your unit economics page later on. Next page, where you had your margins. Yeah, so one, I'm assuming that is actually bottom line profit margin and not gross profit margin, because if you're manufacturing at $575, commercial price at $43.13, your gross profit margin there is, call it, north of 80%, right? Kind of almost 90% kind of there, right?
I'm not sure if I understood gross profit properly. Our profit margin, which I'm assuming is per box, is 86.7, but we're just considering that in the 3 years of our company, how much money we make versus the loan we need to pay back to our investors, then the profit margin becomes 22%.
Yeah,
we only make
right. So you're probably mixing up the nomenclature of this, but that's fine.
I see.
I think on the manufacturing cost, does that include the raw material plus the processing cost and the forming cost?
No, that's just base raw material price. Processing and forming, that's invested into labor costs, buying machine, and the time itself that we're putting in. That's also included in labor cost to pay back our worker.
So is that including your manufacturing cost or not? That labor cost?
No.
So you should probably bake that fully in when you're talking about unit economics. What you want to be able to do is figure out exactly what the total build cost for your unit is, like for per box, right? And maybe how much is the total loaded box cost when you add labor and everything in,
and divide up labor among how many 90,000 boxes we produce.
That's right. That's right. Do you have an idea of kind of what that number is?
Well, if labor is 1.4 million divided by 96,000 is roughly a number I can't do in my head. But it is definitely something we could produce and assign to a slide and give to our investors.
Fair enough. Okay.
Just to help you, nobody can do math on Zoom. It's the rule of it. Even arithmetic.
All right. With that, I do think we need to move on to our next presentation. But thank you guys. And our next team is Hui Pham's team.
Hello, I'm Rachel.
I'm Ashley.
I'm Nellie.
And I'm Nikki. And we are Carbon Nanosols, revolutionizing running with relief. Our insoles aim to prevent stress fractures by using shock-absorbing carbon nanotubes and a lightweight nanocomposite material. Stress fractures are a huge problem, accounting for nearly half of all athletic injuries annually. They're caused by cracks in the bones from repetitive high-impact forces that break down the bone faster than a regeneration rate, often impairing athletes from recovering in an efficient time and manner. Treatments can cost up to $17,000, while proper healing can take up to 6 to 8 weeks. Our solution: insoles. We aim to prevent stress fractures by incorporating polyurethane foam for comfort and moisture absorption, and a nanofoam at the bottom of the insole for maximum shock absorption. Our product is designed to reinforce and accommodate everyone's need. Our insole is affordable, effective, and most importantly, has higher shock absorption than our competitors. And we can guarantee millions of dollars in profit with our sales.
Some of our direct competitors are companies such as Cervithane and Superfeet. Our competitors' insoles cost about $40 to $50, while we only cost about $30, making us the more affordable option for consumers. We all offer a convenient option for customers. However, due to our insole material being a nanocomposite, it has superior shock absorbing properties and is longer lasting compared to our competitors that use foam and gels inside their insoles. So this graph shows the shock absorption rate of different Cervithane insoles, which are proven to use the most shock absorbing material compared to our other competitors. However, our technology is 3 times as effective, having a 67% shock absorption rate. The global sports and athletic insole market is worth about $1.97 billion and is estimated to grow at a 7.7% annually, demonstrating that there is a growing demand in our market. Our gross profit margin is over 15% higher than our competitors due to the lower manufacturing cost of our product.
So at the bottom of our insole, there are 2 nanocomposite films made out of polymer and carbon nanotubes. Our utilization of carbon nanotubes gives our product its maximum shock absorbing properties. To further explain what carbon nanotubes are, they are rolled up sheets of single-layered carbon atoms that form a hexagonal structure. The strong covalent sp2 bonds within carbon nanotubes provide high tensile strength and elastic modulus that allow the carbon nanotubes to undergo an equilibrium process that allows for fantastic energy dissipation and shock absorbing properties. The film itself consists of a matrix and a filler, where thermoplastic polyurethane is the matrix and carbon nanotubes are the filler. To produce the nanocomposite, we will use solution mixing, in which carbon nanotubes are added to a solvent and then polyurethane is added to allow dispersion of carbon nanotubes. After magnetic stirrers and ultrasonic baths dissolve the mixture, it will be heated and the solvent will evaporate, thus leaving us with our nanocomposite film.
In our first year, we need around $600,000 for research, raw material costs, and a market study. We're using this year to launch a minimal viable product called the N film, which is the nanocomposite film that was described earlier. When buying this product, there will be 2 pieces of the film that will be priced at $4.95. The user must already own an insole to use this MVP, and it will work like a sticker. It will be placed at the bottom of their insole at the forefoot and heel area for shock absorption. In this year, we will also be finalizing our insole production methods. By our second year, we will need around $1 million to begin launching our main product, the insoles. We will receive feedback from professionals and consumers in regards to our MVP and make necessary improvements to our insole. It takes almost $9 to manufacture a pair of insoles, and we're planning to price them around $30. In our third year, we will need around $1.5 million for expanding facilities and entering international markets, as well as developing a brand ambassador program. Looking into the future, we also want to expand into other markets, such as various sports and medical equipment. Overall, we are asking for $3 million in total for funding, and we can break even by the end of our third year, as shown in this graph, and we can make over $10 million in profit annually beyond the next few years, in which our investors will also be getting a good portion of our profits.
Our mission is to prevent stress fractures and reduce the frequency of injuries by providing a shock-absorbing and effective insole, as well as a nanofilm. We value our customers' well-being. Therefore, we aim to improve the daily lives of people who value the importance of physical health and staying active. Please contact us at carbonnanosoles@gmail.com for any inquiries. We will now be taking questions.
All right, thank you. You guys said it already. Questions?
Okay, I'm always happy to start. Carbon nanotubes are long, skinny things. And so the shock absorbing properties are different if the carbon nanotubes are all lying down or if the carbon nanotubes are all standing up. How do you want them oriented? And I don't know what you want for your carbon nanosols. So how do you want them oriented, and how are you going to get them oriented that way in your gel composite?
Okay, so we will be having our carbon nanotubes vertically aligned, and when we use solution mixing, they should be aligned upwards, but that is something that we need to look into our first year, and our scientists do need to look into that, but they should be vertically aligned.
So solution mixing will make them random if it's truly solution mixing. But when things evaporate, they tend to get flattened down. So getting them upright is actually really hard.
Okay.
But that's the geometry where those very high numbers come from. Okay.
Was that a question?
Yeah, that was a question. You quoted some very high shock absorbing numbers. Were those for vertically aligned nanotubes?
I don't think any of our sources mentioned whether they were vertically aligned.
That trust me, if you don't need them vertically aligned, don't do it because it's super expensive to do. So if your sources gave high shock absorbing numbers without being vertically aligned.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so that's the question is, what is your base science and what alignment do you need for that? And can you recreate that alignment in your product?
Okay, so we do not need vertically aligned carbon nanotubes. Sorry, could you talk about your other questions one more time? Sorry. Asking about the production?
Just what alignment do you want, and does your production method generate it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, solution mixing should be it so that it's not vertically aligned, as you said. But yeah, I don't think we'll need vertically aligned carbon nanotubes. Yeah.
So your product, I think I heard this right, requires the purchaser to already have an insole, like an insole insert, and then, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you take your product and you place it or adhese it to an already existing insole. Is that correct?
That would be our MVP product that we're only selling in our first year. I can quickly demonstrate how it's going to work. So if you take a look at my camera, so the film will be about thin and it has an adhesive on the back, and the consumer will be able to place the end film at the forefoot and the heel of the insole. So it will be placed right here, a lot neater, obviously. And this way, these two key points on the insole where the force of stepping on the ground is most concentrated at will reduce the shock absorption of running the most.
So it's an enhancement to already available insoles on the market.
That would be our end film. After we're testing the shock, like the shock absorption of our piece of technology, we'll be able to incorporate our own materials and create our own insole. And at that point, by the second year, we'll be selling our insoles. Consumers can directly buy our insole with our technology for all of its benefits.
I have a question. When you talked about patents, international patents, and patents here in the US, have you researched that, getting international patents? And would you need something other? I don't know the answer to this. Do you need something, if it's patented here, do you need a separate patent in all of these countries, as you stated in your business plan?
So we have looked into patents domestically and internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to internationally patent it, you would have to patent it by specific countries because it doesn't make sense to patent all the countries. So mainly, if we're originally going to patent it in the US first, and then once we hit expansion, we'll patent it internationally by first patenting it in manufacturing countries to prevent them from recreating our technology. And then we're also going to patent it in consumer countries that purchase the most insoles to prevent other companies from tapping into that market.
All right. And with that, that is our 5-minute time for questions. So well done, team. Thank you very much. And then our next team is from Jessica Marasco.
This is the Beetlejuice Fog Catcher by me, Eric Wang.
Me, Noah Corrales.
Nicole Perez.
Caitlin Ray. Even though 70% of our planet is water, whether you are a resident in California or the sub-Saharan desert, there is a global water crisis. Many residents are suffering from droughts and insignificant access to clean water. Water is not only essential to life, but with the growing population, the demand for water has increased severely, which puts pressure on our freshwater resources. Our product's goal is to utilize natural resources and efficiently without exploiting it to elevate the water crisis in certain areas of the world. One solution to help the water crisis is water catchment slash harvesting. From changes in the weather, collecting water from the air is relatively clean depending on the materials and setup used to collect the freeze source of water. Harvesting fog is a new technique that began in the 1980s. Fog catching setups need to be developed for innovation materials that can capture water more efficiently. Fog catching setups are easy to do yourself and can be built independently in lesser developed countries.
Our product is a cost-effective nano-imprinted fog catcher. Other market fog catchers do not specialize in nano imprinting or even cost effectiveness. They care more about setting the catcher up and leaving it there. They use specific tools like Allen wrenches and drills to set the catcher into the ground, but these tools are not accessible everywhere. Most of our focus is in the third world countries that suffer from droughts due to the sub-Saharan climate they live in. Somalia, Tuvalu, and the Central African Republic are countries that suffer heavily from droughts and have low human production and money. Most fog catcher companies cannot maintenance these areas because of the distance, but our fog catcher requires one, at most two tools to set up. We have many more countries, cities, or even towns we could help do the mobility, cost effectiveness, and easily produced product we have.
What makes our product special is the biomagnetic polyene netting that we use to catch the water. Our netting is stamped at a nano scale with nanoprint lithograph to have a similar texture to a fog collecting beetle found in Namib Desert, Africa. These beetles have microscopic ridges on their shell that catch the water and funnel it into their mouths. This texture utilizes the properties of water, such as microscopic hydrophilic points on the net that allow water to better nucleate on the net as it comes in contact with fog. Our net is designed to catch water more effectively and in larger quantities than other types of netting, with easy to accessible materials that can be shipped all over the world. The nanoprinting netting would be secured to 2 wooden poles using multi-purpose tarp clips and zip ties. The net would be placed below a rainwater barrel to store the captured fog water. The rain barrel would be stabilized with PEX pipe. And these are the pictures of the product we did, or prototype.
The advantages of our product. The Beetlejuice Fog Catcher is an easy to build and maintain design made of financially cheaper materials that are engineered at the nanoscale to be more efficient at harvesting fog than any current fog catcher on the market. There are currently no mesh nets nano-imprinted with the biomimicry design to attract and collect fog more efficiently or easy to assemble fog catcher kits. The goal of the Beetlejuice company is to create a product that contains quality but affordable materials for a superior performing fog catcher that can easily be shipped and assembled in any world experiencing a water crisis without a laundry list of tools.
Our product would need extensive research and testing in order to develop the best nano-imprint lithography technique. Ideally, this technique would make producing mesh patterns on a large scale more efficient. Nano-imprint lithography is a method for stamping patterns on materials at the nanoscale with high precision and a cost-effective technique. Silicon or polymer molds are pressed with a certain UV light, pressure, and/or temperature setting on a mesh material to leave an inverse copy of the mold. The specific settings needed to produce the fog catcher mesh would have to be tested rigorously. The pattern of the mold used during the nano imprint process would also need to be tested to consistently improve efficiency or find cheaper, longer lasting materials that attract fog from the air. The Beetlejuice Company would be a nonprofit humanitarian organization with the goal of solving the water crisis without harming the environment. All funding would come from the donations or governmental grants with the goal to solve and alleviate the water crisis. For the first year of operation, Beetlejuice Fog Catcher would need a chief science officer and a chief operating officer. The cash requirement for the first year to produce 50 fog catchers is projected to be $479,957 US. Any revenue that is generated will reduce cost for the next year's operation, which will require more personnel to boost production to 100 fog catchers in year 2 and 150 fog catchers in year 3. Year 2 is estimated to cost $635,883, and year 3 is estimated to cost $670,663. Some of the costs for making the company's product may fluctuate depending on the economy, such as the PEX pipe and wood supplies. The largest purchase of a fixed asset for the company will be the equipment to create the nano-imprinted mesh. This purchase will include a master granting mold out, would cost $8,000, and a hot embosser with a cost of $4,000 based on current market rates. During product development and testing in the early design phase, the expenses may increase to improve the fog catcher's performance and durability. The company's projects needed 500 square feet of the lab space in the first year's reduction. As a nonprofit, the goal is to keep costs low, to be able to produce quality fog catchers that will last generations to mediate the water crisis. Also, we are open to questions now.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. Sarah, do you have a question?
You go first. I shouldn't start everyone.
Okay, so Beetlejuice is a registered trademark of Warner Brothers Pictures. Did you include a fee to license the name of your product?
We have not included the fee yet, and according over the 3 years, and for trademarking, we haven't included that into our total cost yet because we're mostly focusing on production. If we needed to, we could change the name, or we could, mesh that pricing into our costs because we have wiggle room. Because we did estimate in our financial report some wiggle room because of the materials we use, like wood and PEX pipe, which vary heavily over a couple of years due to the economy, which fluctuates at such a large rate. We give ourselves the wiggle room of at least $10,000, so we might be able to go and see how much it costs to cost for the fee for the trademark, and if not, we can always change the name
my guess is it's going to be at least a mid six-figure number, if not higher.
Right.
So just to take just a thought.
Okay, if that's the case, then we could easily change the name since we do have other names. We do have other names that we were working on previously.
Okay.
But we chose Beetlejuice since it's we thought it was a good play on words and also well known as a name.
Yeah, it is well known as a name.
Okay, I have my science question. So nano imprint lithography is a low cost way to make nanoscale patterns. Is it low cost enough for this application? And also, it's not a continuous manufacturing method. So you stamp each pattern. So you can't do roll to roll processing where you make large amounts of stuff. You have to do each one in series. So is that feasible for the quantities of material that you want to make for this application?
We asked a professional that actually works with nanoprint lithography, and he said it was possible for our product.
And have you looked at the amount that you need to make I guess maybe the question, and really the people who know this more should be asking this, in terms of your cost estimates, did you include the sort of the speed with which you can do this kind of processing and the overall amount of stuff that you need?
We're able to, our nets are about 48 square meters, and we're able to stamp that that area, but we do not know how fast we can produce it.
So you just mentioned it's 48 square meters, right? So is it almost as wide as it is? Is it a square, or is it like a rectangular kind of runner?
It's about 4 meters by 12 meters.
Okay, so it's kind of more of a runner. So that production cost, have you guys looked into kind of what the production kind of equipment, production cost to be able to kind of do that? And sort of to Sarah's questions a bit here, which is, that's a pretty long continuous roll. Is it, do you have to run it through a stamping machine kind of at each segment versus a continuous printing method, where this is a pretty long roll, at least on each unit basis, correct?
Yeah.
Have you guys looked into the production of it yet? The type of production, the process that's involved in production yet?
Actually, we wanted to make the single purchase for what's it called? The master grading mold and the embosser to kind of flesh out the range of how fast we could get it. So we haven't worked out the production, like the production time, production costs. We were hoping to keep it at a one-time buy, which is most likely not going to happen. But we were just going to basically use that one cost buy to see how fast we could produce a nano mesh the first time. If it comes out that we need more, or we need more machines, or we need more production, we can try to reallocate some money to go into those types of areas for the production value itself and for the production costs.
So do you compare it with the other kind of, there are other harvesters of trying to do catchments, right, in the market. People have been trying to do this. Have you compared, your approach versus others in terms of, cost per liter or whatever the case may be? Especially you're aiming at, effectively kind of countries where, cost is a big issue, right? Have you compared kind of the efficiency of kind of your generation versus somebody else from a cost perspective?
We were looking what's it called? We had originally looked at cheaper store-bought brands of rain catchers. We had looked at another humanitarian cost or another humanitarian organization that places fly catchers. They actually place fly catchers down in Mexico, or more towards the equator area, more like Brazil and stuff like that, in low cost areas that they have. They actually place fog catchers up top mountains, and from the mountains they have and on the mountains they will implant steel beams into the ground and have a barrel underneath which collects water. But those costs from when we were reviewing them, they cost about $1,000 to $1,500 for just implanting it into the ground itself, because of how many people they need to implant in the ground, because it's a large fog catcher, and how many tools they need and equipment. It costs $1,000 to $1,500, as they were saying, which isn't cost effective at all. As for the production, they didn't mention how much production cost they needed to actually produce their nets and to produce their steel beams, but they merely mentioned the planting cost for it. When we looked at the more store-bought meat, we looked at more store-boughts like rain catchers, fall catchers. Those ranged about $50 to $100. But you had to set them up yourselves. You had to have the equipment. You have to have the equipment, and those aren't included in the cost. So that's what we were looking at. As for cost effectiveness, is that our product would be easier to transport, to implant, and or to repair in case of damages, or strong wind, or strong winds tearing the mesh. Is that one we can go over there, or we can give more material so that they can easily set it up again in case of failure, so that we don't need to go over there again and bring more tools and equipment, which would cost us money and which would waste time for them. So we're hoping that let me reel myself back in here. I was getting off topic. Totally noticed that. We compared to store-bought brands and to another humanitarian organization, and that humanitarian organization costs more to place their fall catchers than it would cost us. And as for the store-bought brand, it takes more tools than it would take us to actually plant our things. So it's easier and it's also a little bit more cost effective. That's what I'm getting at, if that makes any sense in the long run of things.
All right, I think with that, we are at the end of Q&A time here. Well done, team, thank you very much. And we are on to our last, but certainly not least, team, which is the packaging team from Daniela Duran.
Good afternoon, I'm Victoria Hess.
Hi, I'm Emily Slaverio, and our company is Mycodegradable. Our other two group members, Dylan Salinas and Andrew Pearson, were unable to attend today due to their AP Spanish tests. Their contributions to the presentation will take place in video format.
In recent years, plastic and styrofoam have become a growing threat to our Earth. These non-biodegradable materials end up in landfills, oceans, and beaches, inhibiting our fight against pollution. These products litter the Earth, destroy ecosystems, and release toxic air pollutants.
There's about 520,000 tons of styrofoam dumped in California landfills each year. We even found styrofoam packing peanuts in one of our neighborhoods last month. Because of this, more sustainable alternatives have been created.
We did some research to find that most of these sustainable products are still shipped in packaging that isn't biodegradable. Thus, the idea for Mycodegradable was born. Mycodegradable is a mushroom-based technology that aims to replace styrofoam packing peanuts and other similar packaging materials.
As we mentioned, Mycodegradable is made of mushrooms, more specifically, the filament root structures of the mushroom known as mycelium. The mycelium can be extracted from the mushroom by placing in it a set mixture of water and agar. In this environment, the mycelium can grow and expand until completely visible. The mycelium is then combined with the sawdust substrate and left into a mold to grow and expand into its desired shape. During the growth process, the mycelium travels into the pores of the agricultural material in search of nutrition. The mushroom mycelium bonds to the substrate. As seen in the SEM images, the mycelium creates a porous yet strong and tangled network around the substrate. The mycelium can be considered a biopolymer because of the repetitive amino acids that create the network and its ability to biodegrade.
To understand just how the mycelium growth process works, we decided to make our product. We experimented with the weight of our product by testing 3 different drying methods, including a heat lamp, a dehydrator, and an oven. The oven consistently gave us the lightest weight for our packing peanuts. As seen in the top left image, our final product was a success in the sense that it held together and it was relatively light. The bottom left image demonstrates the mycelium network we hope to create with more nano-sized pores and a smoother overall texture. We plan to target small, sustainable brands that sell environmentally friendly products. Many of these shops sell their products on websites such as Etsy. We spoke to 2 business owners, one that sells environmentally friendly candles and the other that sells silverware made from coconut husks. Both owners are willing to pay more for biodegradable packaging within reason. Our company has three main competitors: regular styrofoam packing peanuts, dissolvable cornstarch packing peanuts, and mushroom molds. The mushroom molds were developed by Ecovative, a company who began mycelium-based research. The company recently shifted their focus onto the food and makeup industry and are now open to licensing their patents. As you can see in the chart, Microdegradable beats out our competitors in every category while maintaining a competitive price. Ecovada's mushroom molds most closely resemble our product, but we plan to make Microdegradable lighter with more porous mycelium connections and water resistant with the addition of a hydrophobic coating down the line. Making our product lighter will also make it cheaper during shipping.
This is a cost overview for our first year of business. Our raw materials cost is about $13,600, and the cost to make each individual bag of peanuts is around $4. We plan to sell 1 unit of microdegradable at $7 for a 43% markup. We would need a total of $807,896 to fund microdegradable for the first year of business. Before our launch, we plan to market our product through promotion boxes and advertisements. With this approach, we plan to sell around 27,000 units in our first year of production. In the following years, we will shift our focus to testing a biodegradable hydrophobic coating. We also wish to expand our target audience to larger businesses. Companies like Amazon and FedEx have made statements about wanting to become more eco-friendly with goals of reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2040. We would use the money we receive to begin this expansion by moving to a larger facility, purchasing more materials, and hiring more employees to keep up with our growing demand. In conclusion, we hope that our nano-based and nature-inspired packaging will capitalize on the $400 billion industry and help to put an end to package-based pollution. We want to thank everyone that has helped us throughout this process, including our mentors, our teacher, the environmentally friendly business owners we interviewed, and the CNSI team. Thank you all.
All right, well done, and good luck to your colleagues on their AP tests. Hopefully they do great. Questions?
I'll start. I want to apologize for the overlap. We tried to avoid the AP tests, but then because of all the shutdowns, they moved the AP test. My son just took the AP, is taking the AP Spanish test right now. So I understand, but on his school schedule, it was 2 weeks ago. And then that's what we worked around. So we tried, but we failed because the pandemic changes everything. Okay, so my question is, there is a mushroom-based packing product out there. And it sounds like you're using very similar technology and that you would actually license part of it from them. I assume that they picked not peanuts, but these molded shapes because that's a higher end market and for an expensive product. So how in specific are you going to compete with this established company that has a very similar product?
Right. So as we said, in the past couple of years, the company has actually shifted away from packaging altogether and focused on creating a bacon alternative for mushrooms. And their packaging company doesn't really operate. They do still do shipments for certain businesses that they have relationships with. And their packaging is in the block shape. And the reason for it was that they felt like it was best compressed and had the most protection. But we've done a couple different tests and we found that the weight of those blocks are actually a lot heavier than what our product would be, which increases shipping and that increases price. And a lot of sustainable companies, especially small companies that we plan to target, are not willing to pay those high prices for that material. And sometimes those products don't necessarily fit the same mold. So having the packing peanuts that can kind of protect any type of product would be more beneficial.
Okay. My other question is, how are these better than starch?
The reason that they're better than cornstarch is because cornstarch disintegrates in water. That's how you're supposed to get rid of them, which not only if you put it down the sink, which is how it's mainly advertised, that can clog up drains, you know, but also in any weather outside of, you know, like sunny California, it's, if your package gets wet in the rain or the snow, how is that, will the packing peanuts, with the cornstarch packing peanuts disintegrate around your product before you even get it? Whereas our mushrooms are water resistant, especially once we do more research on like the hydrophobic coating that will go around it.
Okay.
Quick question, how shelf stable is this? Is there any issue with shelf stability? Does it degrade over time? Does it mold or anything like that? But like, is there any issues with that, or by the time you finish processing it, it's not an issue?
During the growing process, that is a difficulty. It's a difficulty I had because I wasn't feeling well when I was supposed to take them out of the mold, so they did mold. But once you put them in an oven and dry them out, you're kind of killing it so it doesn't grow more. So once it's in the oven, or once it's out of the oven, I guess, and all the water's gone, it's completely dried up, there is like no issue.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, when it is introduced to weather, there is a possibility of decomposition, which is why we want to look into the hydrophobic application to make it just even stronger in case of some type of weather accident.
And from a cost perspective, maybe you might have shown that before. What's the relative cost for a typical packaging relative to the normal packing peanuts?
So the regular styrofoam packing peanuts that have obviously been the industry standard are about $4.30. That's for a 1.5 cubic foot bag. And obviously this is not environmentally friendly, and our product is a little more expensive. We did not want to stray too far from these costs because as much as, for example, one of the shops that we talked to, one of the sustainable shops, as much as they want to have packaging that's biodegradable and good for the environment, they're not willing to pay too much more for packaging like the $17.85 that Ecovative can put up because they're still looking to make profit off of their product, and obviously paying so much for shipping and the packaging itself doesn't help them meet their goals.
So your cost is $4 per this
unit,
increment?
roughly, yeah.
Right, and then is that at volume, or is that at what volume do you get to that $4 cost, or can you get to that off the bat?
Yeah, we can get to that immediately. As we expand, we will probably look to getting different sizes of packaging out instead of just the 1.5 cubic bag. But for right now, yeah, that would be our standard.
Okay.
Do you have any numbers on the shock absorbing properties of these peanuts, of their energy dissipation metrics?
I don't think we have any specific numbers on ours because Ecovative does have numbers, and unfortunately I can't recall them right now. I don't know if Victoria might be able to. They're obviously good, and we don't stray too far from the central ideal, but ours would be slightly softer, so their properties might not hold up as well. But for the goal that we have of the loose-based packaging, which is what packing peanuts are, it would be sustainable. But we would need to run tests once so the experiment that we did, we obviously tested it in a box, we shook it, but we don't have exact numbers.
Okay.
All right. So with that, thank you all so much for your amazing pitches. Well done to every single team. We're super impressed every year, and this year is, I don't think, any exception. So we are going to take a half-hour break, during which time our judges are going to enter into a breakout room to go over all of the scoring and to determine our winners. So we will be back at 1 p.m. And I think Sarah had something that she wanted to add.
Yeah, so just before we go, I just want to say to everybody, reiterate, great presentations. From the judges, we asked you hard questions because the point of doing this is to experience hard questions. So don't feel bad if we asked you a question that you didn't know the answer to. Our goal was to really go as far as we could with questions. And so be proud of all the questions that you answered and learn from the ones that you didn't have answers to, because that's the whole goal. And I guarantee no matter who you were, we were going to come up with something you couldn't answer. So that's the part of the process.
And if I could add to that, it's much better to say you don't know something and you'll find out than it is to bluff. So I want to just reiterate what Dr. Tolbert has said, and we ask tough questions because it's a learning experience.
I can tell you that even like, you know, the graduate students I work with and they go and give talks to big people, the thing that scares everybody the most is that somebody's going to ask them a question they don't know the answer to. And the answer is they will again and again in your life, repeatedly. So you might as well just figure out what to do with questions you don't know the answer to. And that's why we're doing it this way.
And that I just wanted to add that that's something you take with you in every aspect of your life, that you're going to be in positions where you think, I don't want to look stupid, or I don't want to look uninformed, or I'm going to be judged, which, you know, obviously this is, but that's every day of your life, in school, in life, in work. And, you know, this is a wonderful opportunity. Hats off to all of you for trying this and doing it. We're just thrilled with these efforts. So thank you.
All right. So I'll be opening the breakout room for the judges now, and to everyone else, thank you again, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock.
I mean, no, it's because like we have time right now. That's why. Oh.
So Rita, if I can say a few words, just I don't know, somewhere in there.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so are we starting up again? Okay, so I speak for all the judges when I say, oh my goodness, you made it hard for us. This was not one of those situations where we could say, oh, this was the one great one. It was like, but there was this one and this one and this one, but there was only this one. Okay, so we had to make decisions. There were other decisions we could have made that were just as good. So I want everybody to know that really there were a bunch of great presentations and potentially really practical devices. So let's have that as our preface to our award announcements.
Yes, well said. Thank you, Sarah. All right, so we are going to start with actually a special honorable mention for a truly excellent presentation by the following team, which was mycodegradable. Really, really well done. Really professional, wonderful presentation. So much so that you warranted the first ever in Nanovation honorable mention. So nicely done, mycodegradable. It's just going to admit some people who are in the waiting room for a moment. My apologies. So for those of you who are just joining us back in the room, our honorable mention this year, again, which is our first ever honorable mention, is going to mycodegradable. So great presentation, wonderful job. All right. In third place, we've got a tie. So we have 2 third place teams this year because you guys are making it so hard for us. So the first of our third place teams, in no particular order here, is NanoSoothe. So well done to Team NanoSoothe. Really great job. And our other third place team is Nanosouls. So Nanosouls, really great job. Well done, well done, well done. All right, our second place team is Team NanoCheck. So well done to Team NanoCheck. Good job. Well done, well done. Congratulations to Team NanoCheck. And our first place team this year goes to Everest Express. I'm seeing reactions which make me very happy. So good job, Everest Express. And truly good job to all of the teams this year. Again, this was not a year that was easy for our judges. Everyone has done a really good job, and we can tell from when you guys gave us your very first submissions to this point of your presentations, just how much every single team has grown and learned and improved and did excellent work. So I just want to, again, congratulate every team for doing a really, really outstanding job. You guys truly are all winners in my book.
So I don't know exactly how you want to do it, but I'm definitely long past late for another meeting, so I have to run to it. But I would suggest getting each team who's here to go in a breakout room, perhaps with Denise, and take a Zoom photo of just that set of boxes so that you have a photo of each of the teams that we can, put with our, keep in our archives of Nanovation competitors. So I think the easiest way is to make a breakout room and then take a screen capture picture of just the finite number of boxes of each group.
Okay, so I just made 5 open breakout rooms. So first place can go to room 1, second place can go to room 2, NanoSoothe can go to room 3, Nanosouls can go to room 4, and mycodegradable can go into room 5, if that works. And then I guess Denise and I will pop around into the different rooms and take a Zoom group photo together. And again, thank you to everyone. Judges, thank you so much. Mentors, thank you so much. Students, thank you so much. Teachers, thank you so much. Friends and family, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for a really, really excellent year once again.
Yep. Great job to everyone.
Bye-bye to everyone. All right, I am going to join group 1. Denise, do you want to join me in room 1?
Wherever you want. Absolutely.
All right. Let me assign you to room 1. So you should be able to join now, and I'll see you in room 1.
Oh, how do I get into the breakout rooms? Does anyone know how to like get into the breakout rooms? I'm stuck in this room.
On the bottom panel, do you see where it says breakout rooms?
I do see that.
Click on that, it should pull up the window.
Okay. Oh, and there's the join. Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't see that panel saying breakout rooms.
It should be along the bottom where you have like the participants and chat and share screen and all that.
Yeah, I'm looking. There's no option.
Oh, that's strange.
Hi. Hi, we're looking for our advisor. Mr. Lucas, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes,
we rock, you guys. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. You guys rocked it. I knew it. I knew it. Congrats.
When they didn't announce us for a second, I was like, no way. No way. That was really exciting.
By the time they got from the 3 to the 2, you guys had done so well. I knew you were gonna get something. I'm like, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. So.
But what I wanted to ask was about, they might email you soon about prizes or like sending out the reward.
Yeah.
Did they talk to you about it, or do you want us to get the email? Or?
I don't know anything about it, although I would assume that's why I kind of wanted to sticking around if they needed anything from me.
So,
I mean, we'll
yeah,
put
I
about a
mean-
year then and just check your mailbox. But you're good to leave. Thank you for coming. I know
okay, yeah, so once again,
you.
awesome. Congrats, guys. You deserve it.
Thank
You
you.
definitely deserve it. You
Thank
guys,
you.
you've been amazing. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Yo, are we doing anything right now? Because I gotta go.
Where are you going? Where did Ryan go?
ROTC practice.
Just say, I'm sorry, Lieutenant.
Ryan went back. Or they go back to the breakout room, I guess. Did everyone leave?